Right. Hello and good morning and welcome everyone to this webinar. We've got our guest speaker, Lewis here. Sorry, always the names just escape the moment you have to say them. From Sage, she's going to take us through the author journey when you submit an article and try and apply for a waiver or don't need to apply for a waiver. So we've got different scenarios that we're going to go through. So before we get started and I hand over, just a quick word of introduction. I'm recording the webinar and the recording will be made available afterwards, as well as the slides. If you have any questions, please feel free to pop them in the chat box or the Q&A. So just as a quick introduction, my name is Romy Beard. I'm the EIFL Licensing Program Manager, and I've been negotiating different agreements with publishers that cover access to content, but also open access publishing terms. And today we're talking specifically about the agreement with Sage. So if you go to the EIFL website under what we do, EIFL negotiated APCs, and if you navigate to the page about Sage, you will come to this page here. And this gives an overview of the different scenarios we'll talk through today. So the agreement includes waived article processing charges for a whole list of countries listed here if you publish in a fully open access journal with Sage, a gold journal. And then we've got a second category of authors that are from affiliated institutions that have an active subscription in Estonia and Latvia, and those get a 20% discount on the fully open access journal. So that's the second scenario we look at. And then finally, we've got two countries, Lithuania and Slovenia, that have signed up for a read and publish agreement, which means there's no fees if you publish in hybrid journals, and also 20% discount on fully open access journals. So we look at those three different author journeys in detail. And like I said, we're recording it, so this might be something that you watch later if you get a question from an author. And the recording will also be put on this page. So we have some instructions already here, but at the end on a further information, this as well, place the recording of the video. We also have these title lists of eligible journals. So each country's list is a little bit different depending on what they're eligible for. So for example, Albania, you get waiver on the fully open access journals. So this list would only include the fully open access journals, whereas Lithuania and Slovenia also includes the hybrid journals. So it's always good to look at the country-specific list rather than a general list, which might be confusing if it includes the other journals you're not eligible for, if that makes sense. So I think that's everything I wanted to say. So I'll hand over to Lewis. Thanks so much, Lewis.
Cool. Yeah, no problem. Thanks very much for the intro. So I'm Lewis Newball. I'm the Open Access Operations Manager at Sage. And yeah, I mean, mainly what I'm going to show here is kind of the author journey of what to expect for when these waivers and discounts are applied. So I will just share my screen and hope that it works. Cool. Hopefully those slides are coming up correctly. So yeah, I mean, as Romy said, there are kind of various pathways of discounts and waivers based on the agreement that EIFL have with Sage, and then also the individual countries have in terms of the subscription and read and publish packages. What I'll go through here is the stage at which an article is being accepted. At that stage, it enters our production system, and from there it goes to the Sage Open Access Portal, which is our in-house system for managing license selection and APC payments where applicable. So, I mean, a good thing to note at this stage is that the way that we match articles to deals and the eligibility for the various discounts is based on Ringgold ID. And so that will be automatically input into our production system based on the institution, which was selected at peer review by the author. And then this then feeds through to the Sage Open Access portal, and that our system is then automated to identify those eligible institutions, which we coordinate with EIFL and with countries that have specific read and publish deals, so Lithuania and Slovenia. And then that should hopefully mean that everything's automatically detected, and then comes through so that it can provide the correct messaging to the authors from those specific countries. So as Romy said, there are slightly different scenarios. So there are full waivers on hybrid articles, full waivers on gold articles, fully open access journals for the EIFL waiver countries. And then the EIFL members who get the 20% discount on gold articles, so again, fully open access. And then individual countries can subscribe to read and publish packages, which provides that 20% discount on gold articles through EIFL membership, and then also provides 100% waiver on hybrid articles going through Sage Choice. So submitted to traditional journals and then published open access through Sage Choice. And so I will get started on what authors can expect to see throughout this process. So we'll start on the country-based waivers. And this is, like I say, at the stage that an article's already been accepted, the articles entered our Sage Open Access portal, and this is the first email that the author is going to see. So this email gets sent out to all authors on the paper. Any author can click on this link, which then takes them to the Sage Open Access portal. And at that stage, they then become the transacting author. So it doesn't have to be the corresponding author. Corresponding author is what we use for a match, for deal eligibility, pulling that Ringgold information, like I said. But at this stage, any authors can go on and complete this process through the Sage Open Access portal. And so it will come up, it will let them know that they have the option of open access. It will let them know that no payment is required for that article because it's part of one of these, the waiver countries for EIFL. And it will have a link to go to selecting the license type. So after this link is clicked, it will go onto the open access summary page. That will show a breakdown of the article processing charge, and then also show that the country discount has been applied here, which is 100%. And that then comes up with a total of £0. And so at this stage, that's just to confirm that they understand that there's a discount. You can then click through to the continue, which will then proceed to the register or login stage. And so if it's a new author using the Sage Open Access portal for the first time, there's a registration process. If it's a returning author, then they can log into their existing account. And that basically just gives ability to go through this process on the system. It should give a dashboard of articles they've been involved with, which have gone through the Sage Open Access portal. And so once that's clicked, so once they've either registered or logged in, then takes them to copyright and open access license selection. And so at this stage, the licenses that are shown are dependent on the journal and funder requirements. So typically this will be either CC by NC or CC by, so it's always a Creative Commons license. And then some funders will have specific requirements around needing it to be CC by, so the least restrictive license possible. The Sage standard, if this isn't in place, is CC by NC. Authors can request different Creative Commons licenses, and this is kind of reviewed on a case-by-case basis depending on those factors, and then we can arrange that separately. The copyright selection is based on how the work was done, and if the author owns the copyright, or if they're working for an organization or governmental body which will then own the copyright. At this stage also, the authors are directed to read the terms of the agreement, and they have to tick a box to show that they've done that, and then they have to tick a box to say they're one of the named authors of the article, and they sign on behalf of all the other authors. So once that button is clicked and the agreement is signed, at this point, that is the end of the author journey on the portal. And then all authors are notified via email that the license, open access license for their paper has been chosen. It attaches a copy of the license. And obviously, because this is the country-based waiver where it's 100% discount, there's no payment stage required for this. And so that's what authors from those countries should expect. One thing I should know actually is that I said that it's based on Ringgold institution, and that is correct for the gold discounts and the hybrid discounts in read and publish deals I'm about to go on to. But actually, for these country-based waivers, it is just based on the country that the authors inputted as part of that institution they selected. So slightly different, but so that's the first stage of the country-based discounts. I'll now go on to the gold discounted articles. So these are in fully open access or gold journals. This provides a 20% discount on the article processing charge. And as Romy says, the information about which countries are eligible for which discounts and waivers can be found on the EIFL website. And I think this recording is going to be put up there as well. So you may be watching it on that very page. So for the gold discounted articles, again, I mean, this is all at post-acceptance stage. So once it's been through peer review, been accepted, entered our production system, and then entered the Sage Open Access portal. A lot of these slides are going to look fairly similar, especially to begin with, but it gives a good idea of the kind of slightly different wording that's used in emails, which goes out to authors, and also then the payment stages of different workflows. So again, once it enters Sage Open Access portal, this email will be sent out to all of the authors on the paper. Any of the authors can go through and be the transacting author, take responsibility for this on behalf of the authors. It doesn't have to be corresponding. The difference here is that they'll still be directed to select a license type, but it will say that an article processing charge is applicable, and it will then show the value of that in GBP. It will for EIFL country members, it will come up as GBP. And yeah, so puts all that in the article so that the authors are aware at every stage if they're eligible to pay an article processing charge or not. Again, it will take you through to the open access summary page. This gives the full article processing charge for the journal, and then it also shows that there's the 20% discount based on EIFL membership, and it gives a full breakdown of the costs and how that then calculates the subtotal. As it says here, tax will be calculated once billing details are completed, so this will come through on the invoice which is raised, and that's done at the end stage rather than at this point. So again, it will take you to the register or login page. And at this stage, it's the same thing. New authors will have to register. Existing authors who have an account will be able to log in. And then it takes you through to the same license selection page. So all the same things before apply there, based on journal, funder requirements, etc., and selecting the copyright for the article. And then accepting the terms of the agreement and confirming that they're one of the named contributors to the article. So then at this stage, then all of the authors again get this email to say the license has been signed, and they'll get a copy of that sent to their email. But because there's an APC applicable here, the transacting author then has to go through and fill out their the payment details. And so there are different options at this stage. So the author can select themselves as a bill payer. This will give them the option, the ability to raise the invoice themselves and then pay it via credit card or bank transfer. Or they can choose a different bill payer. So they can either nominate another bill payer by putting in their details. A request will be sent through to that person, which I'll go through the slides for in a minute, and then they'll have the option to agree to pay the APC, raise the invoice themselves, and then pay that. There is a third option which isn't shown here, which is if the institution the author is from is what we call a centralized bill payer on our system. What it means is that the institution has an account with us on the Sage Open Access portal. Their billing details will be automatically filled, and it will come up as a selection here to specifically select that institution. So the author then doesn't have to input any information. That gets sent through to the institution's dashboard on the Sage Open Access portal. They have the option to then accept or decline that payment. And with both that centralized bill payer option and the nominated bill payer option, if the request from the author to pay the APC is declined, it will be returned to the author, and it will say, you know, the selected bill payer is declined to pay. Please select another bill payer, and then they'll go back to this screen and have that choice again. With nominated bill payers, they will need to take action and respond to that email within 5 days. They'll get a reminder email on the 3rd day as well. After 5 days, it will be automatically declined and will then return to the author to say that they need to select a different bill payer. With centralized bill payers, they have more time than that. Generally, they'll have someone dedicated to the kind of admin side of it anyway, and so they tend to get approved quickly. But because we've got that agreement with them, we know that they've signed up for wanting to pay for article processing charges for authors from their institution. We provide a bit more time. I think it is 2 weeks as far as I recall, to be able to do that. So if the author selects themselves as the bill payer, then they can input all of their billing details here. So billing address, billing details, purchase order number, VAT ID if applicable. And this information will then all be contained in the invoice. It will provide a preview invoice. And again, they have to agree to payment terms and conditions. You can at this stage either pay by credit card or have a final invoice sent to then make payment against that invoice via bank transfer. So yeah, at this stage, the transaction is complete for the article. This is an email that all of the authors will get. So even if it's the transacting author making that payment, the authors will all get an email to let them know that the transaction's been complete and that the payment's gone through. And at that stage, then the article is ready to continue with the publication process, and be our production team will then be working on typesetting, getting that published online. And then this is just if they've selected the invoice payment route, then they'll get an invoice sent through and be able to select that. Again, the option is still there to pay by credit card, or you can pay by bank or wire transfer. Okay, yeah, and these are just the payment pages that they'll see in order to be able to pay by credit card. So that was if the author had selected themselves as the bill payer, and the stages that they'll go through and the emails that are sent to all of the contributing authors. If the author has selected a nominated bill payer, this is the email that they'll receive. They'll receive a request for payment email. So it will come through saying that someone from the institution has wants to publish it open access and has nominated them as to pay the article processing charge. So the bill payer then gets the chance to review the open access APC request. Once they click that link, it will take them to this page, which will show, again, give a breakdown of the APC, of the discount which is applied. So here it would say EIFL discount 20%. And then give the subtotal excluding taxes. They have the choice to say yes or no to accepting that responsibility. If, like I said, if they decline it at that time, then it's returned to the transacting author. They'll get an email to say that the nominated bill payer has declined to pay for the APC, and they'll then have to either select themselves as the bill payer or choose another nominated bill payer. At this stage, the nominated bill payer has different payment options. So again, they can either pay via invoice or credit card, or if they're an institution which is getting a lot of requests from authors, has a lot of articles going through the Sage Open Access portal, they can pay via an aggregated payment schedule. So all of the articles within a certain time period will be collated onto a single invoice to be paid. At this stage, once they've been put onto an aggregated invoice, then the publication process will continue. We don't have to wait for payment of that aggregated invoice, because obviously, you know, it could be on a quarterly or monthly cycle, and we don't want authors to have to be waiting for that. So it is considered paid at that stage. And so, yeah, that they will then follow the same steps that that I showed before that the author would have to go through. So making that payment, they'll have a chance to preview the invoice, make the payment, and then it will show the order confirmation. Once the nominated bill payer has accepted an APC, then all of the authors will receive an email to say that the nominated bill payer has accepted to pay, and then another one when they've actually made that final payment, so that the authors keep updated with the stage that it's at, and there's nothing's kind of lost in communication there. So that was for the 20% discount on gold journals, fully open access articles. This is the final workflow. At the moment, it's Lithuania and Slovenia who have a read and publish agreement with us. So this means that they qualify for that 20% gold discount. They also qualify for 100% discount on articles in traditional journals, which are going to be published Sage Choice. So Sage Choice is our system for creating hybrid journals, where authors have the option to select open access or continue down the traditional publishing route. In these cases where a sales agreement is in place, such as a read and publish deal, whereas normally authors would have to select if they want Sage Choice, and that's very much open based on author choice. Here it will be, I'm just seeing something in the chat quickly. In fact, I'll go through and answer questions at the end because that'll be easier if it's being recorded as well. Yeah, normally the author would have to contact us to select Sage Choice in advance. If there's a read and publish deal in place, then they will automatically receive an email asking them if they want to publish via open access, which I'll go through now. So yeah, this is the email authors will receive. So it will say you can choose open access for your article. It will note that your article's been accepted, the journal, and then it will say open access has been requested by EIFL. Sage Publishing has an agreement with Slovenian or could be Lithuanian institutions, including your university, and says that they'll provide free open access publishing for authors in eligible Sage Choice journals. So it tries to make it clear that there's no payment required, and they then have the choice as to whether they want to publish open access or they want to continue down the traditional subscription-based model. These offers will stay open for 2 weeks and then they will automatically time out if the author's taken no action. So an author has to reply to this within 2 weeks in order to qualify for that free open access payment. It can be requested at a later stage. I actually can't remember if we had a retrospective pricing set up in the agreement for EIFL, so I'll look that up at the end of this. I'm not sure. Some deals that we have, if an author misses this 2-week window and then contacts us saying that actually they want to publish open access, there's a retrospective price which is built into the contract. Sometimes there's not, and I will find out at the end of this. So yeah, they will then click to select their publishing route. At this stage, they'll be taken to the choose open access screen. It will say who's requested it. So at this stage, it's EIFL. This text can be, can be decided by the consortia or the countries. So it's editable. So for the different agreements, it will come up with the correct text that they've selected to put in there. It will show what the article processing charge for the journal is, and then it will show that there's the 100% discount through EIFL, and there's £0 to pay. At that point, the author then has the option to select yes, make my article open access, or no, publish my article subscription. And if they select no, then it will continue down the traditional publishing route. We do ask them, I think I've got a slide for this in a minute, we do ask them if they have declined open access to give a reason for that, and that helps consortia and institutions track why their authors might be declining. So we still see that sometimes people still think that a payment is going to be required somewhere, or that their institutions will be paying for outside of this, and so it gives a good chance to see if that messaging going out to authors is kind of working, and if there's any additional communications that need to be put in there. At the same as all the other workflows, it would take them to the register and login page. And once they've done that, then it will go through to license selection. The same conditions apply for this. So depending on the license that the journal would like to have or funder requirements, they may see different options. The standard for Sage will be CC by NC. And they then choose the copyright contribution, read and accept the terms and conditions, and state that they're one of the contributing authors and have the right to be signing this on behalf of all other authors. Again, once that's signed, then there's no payment required, so it won't go through to the billing details stage. The email will be sent to all of the authors, letting them know that a license has been requested, that a license be completed and signed for their article, and will then attach a PDF copy of it. And oh yeah, so this is if an author does select to decline open access, then it will ask them for a reason. So we'll have the author name, which they can select. All of the contributing author names will be shown there, as they would have done at the start. It has their email, or the email which this will be sent to, and then it's a free text box and they can enter why they declined. So that is the end of the slides. That shows the author journey for all of the different routes of publication. Slightly complicated, I know, because we have all these various different agreements, and it's either with EIFL, or then countries have kind of individual read and publish and subscription packages. But
Yeah, thanks so much. I think I've got a question actually, and then there's one question in the chat. So if there's any other questions that you have, please pop them in the chat or the Q&A now. What wasn't that clear, because I think you cut the screenshots, is, if I understood correctly, it's a mixture of email notifications, but then also you have to log into your system, right?
Yeah.
So you get then prompted to log in, and that's where you then do your selection.
Exactly. Yeah. Sorry if that didn't come across that well. So, the authors will get emails. So they'll get the initial email which says, either your article is going to be made open access, or select your publication route. Once the link from that is clicked, then it goes to the Sage Open Access portal, which is where license selection and payment takes place. And then at various stages from that, then emails keep getting sent out to the authors.
Yeah, so you always get a notification by email. And also if you refer the payer to someone else and then they pay, then they get an email, but then they also have to log in. That makes sense.
Yeah.
There was a question about what happens if an author is from Lithuania and a co-author is from Finland. And I did reply and to say that all the agreements are based on corresponding author. So it is the person that makes the initial submission that their location would be taken into account in their affiliation. Is that correct?
Exactly, yeah. So the agreement's based on a corresponding author match, and that's as determined at when it's submitted at peer review, depending who the authors make corresponding author. So that's an important point to notice. And
if you're collaborating with people in different countries, you need to talk to each other and figure out who's got the best deal, essentially, right?
Yeah, basically. Because there'll be different, there could be different sales deals for different consortia, different institutions as well. So it's based on corresponding author match. Another thing to note in that regard as well is that if the corresponding author's secondary affiliation is eligible for the deal, then we will honor that as the affiliation for the deal. But our production system, so the peer review system, you can enter multiple affiliations, and that is obviously in the order that they'll appear on the published article. But our production system only accepts the primary one coming through. And so in those instances, the deal might not automatically be picked up and applied by the systems. But if a corresponding author thinks that they're eligible for a deal based on their secondary affiliation, if they just drop us an email, then we can apply, we can check that institution's eligible, and then we'll apply the deal, and then it should go through the same process.
So this is if the same author is affiliated to two different institutions.
Yeah, exactly. So say if the corresponding author, their normal institution is an EIFL one, but the research was carried out at a different institution which isn't a member, or the other way around, or there are various instances where they might have two affiliations, or there's work's been split between them, but one's the primary, and we'll still, as long as it appears on the published article, as long as the EIFL member institution appears on there, then we're happy to honor that. But it just won't go through the deal like automation that we have, just because of the way that the systems interact with each other, which we're hoping to fix.
Okay. And to come back to the question about, collaborating authors across different countries. Is there somewhere on your website where it's clear which agreements you have in place? Because obviously what I showed at the start only applies to the EIFL countries. So if you're collaborating with someone in a different country, maybe you could refer us to.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
you could check like what are, if I'm from this institution, do I have a deal?
Yeah, I will. So yeah, there's a page on our website for that. I'll just try and get a link for it so I can put it in the chat. But yeah, all that information can be found on our website.
Excellent. So maybe we can put that in as a follow-up. That might be useful. Even if you can't find it right now. Sorry to put you on the spot. I just wondered.
No, that's right. No, I think I've got it now. So
cool.
there we go. Yeah, I'll put this in the chat, and then yeah, you can always put it on the website as well.
Thanks. We do have another question from Vilma asking, how long does it take from submission to publication?
It depends, to be honest. So it depends on the journal and the article journey. And yeah, like I say, I mean, so I'm involved with the kind of post acceptance stages, and once it gets into the Sage Open Access portal, typically that stage of things, I mean, most of them are done within a couple of weeks, even if that is kind of a nominated bill payer. From submission to publication really depends on the individual journal, to be honest, and just how long peer review takes. So I'm not sure on the kind of average time, to be honest, but it will vary. But we like to think that we're quick. So.
And how long do you find it takes to go from acceptance to publication, this whole process that you showed us?
So that's what I was saying. I mean, the vast majority are completed kind of within 2 weeks. I mean, what it depends on is like author responsiveness mainly, and then obviously if there's a bill payer nominated, then them as well. So it's the kind of thing that it can be done within a few seconds. If the authors receive the email, they then immediately click on it, go through to the portal, select the license, and the bill payer themselves, and like select, enter all their details and pay by credit card. I mean, that can take kind of a few minutes. Obviously, if it's a nominated bill payer, then the email has to be sent to them, and they then have to approve the payment and do all the payment stages. But like I said, the reason that we have that kind of 5-day, if it's sent to a nominated bill payer, they have 5 days to respond, and they'll get a reminder on the 3rd day before it's sent back to the authors. That's to try and ensure that, it doesn't just get sent to a bill payer and then is sitting with them until they take action and they're required to be responsive and that kind of thing. So yeah, we're focused on trying to get it through that stage as quickly as possible. And it just really depends on, how soon the authors are able to take that action, really.
Thanks. Right, let's see if there's any other questions. I can't see anything in the Q&A. Well, I maybe just to finish off, share this link that you sent, which I'll share as well, which has a list of all of the open access agreements in Sage. So you can, so this is only the read and publish agreements, isn't it? So for EIFL, Lithuania and Slovenia would be listed here.
Yeah, okay. We should have a list of gold discount agreements as well. I might have to find that after and send it through.
Okay,
might be easier.
No problem. But that's one page we can link to.
Yeah.
From this page, we have all the EIFL discounts. But yeah, all these state it's corresponding author, so hopefully that's made clear.
And and I think it's stated as corresponding author on all those sections of our website as well. It should be anyway. So
yeah. Okay. Does anyone else have any questions? I can't see anything else. In that case, I'll think we'll just wrap up. Thanks so much for your time.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, cheers for having me.
And there might be other questions coming your way, but I think it's given us a good overview, and it's really useful to have it as a resource with the recording as well, so people can go back and check, oh, what is it I need to do? And
yeah, definitely. And yeah, if
great.
there are any kind of like common questions or comments or anything from this, then definitely get in touch, and yeah, we can figure out how to like improve whatever wording or communication needs to be there, because you know, the more people know about it, the better, really. So
Yeah, sometimes it is all about communication, and you can get confused. There's too many things, isn't there?
yeah, exactly, especially when there's all the different routes to publication and that kind of stuff. So
Cool. Okay, thanks so much for your time, and
cool.
thanks everyone who attended.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.